There's a specific seed that provides all 9 essential amino acids, a comprehensive protein your body can't produce independently. Ounce for ounce, it contains more protein than chicken breast. It has nourished humanity for over 10,000 years. Yet for 77 of those years, the United States government outlawed its cultivation. The reason?
In 1937, a corporation patented a synthetic fiber and realized the most straightforward path to selling plastic was to prohibit plants. That very year, as DuPont secured its nylon patent, Congress enacted legislation that effectively criminalized this crop. The company, poised to profit from synthetics, was instrumental in drafting the law that eliminated its primary natural competitor. 3 generations later, most Americans have never tasted it.
This is hemp, cannabis sativa, and its criminalization campaign reveals the true consequences when food production challenges the profits derived from chemical dependency. Welcome to Secrets Beneath Nature. If these concealed histories resonate with you, the best way to safeguard this knowledge is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment telling us which food or plant you'd like us to investigate next. Now, let us proceed. The narrative begins not in a laboratory, but in the ancient fields of Central Asia, approximately 10,000 years ago. Archaeologists working in what is now Taiwan unearthed imprints of hemp fiber on pottery shards dating back 12,000 years. This positions hemp as one of humanity's oldest cultivated crops. Long before wheat, long before rice, our ancestors were growing hemp. Imagine ancient Chinese farmers harvesting towering stalks along the Yellow River Valley. Its seeds were pressed for oil, and its fibers were twisted into robust ropes. The plant was documented in the Shennong Pharmacopoeia around 2800 BCE as a remedy for pain and inflammation. For millennia, this knowledge disseminated along the Silk Road trade routes, reaching India, Persia, and eventually Europe. Now let's fast forward to colonial America. Jamestown, Virginia, 1619. The Colonial Assembly passed a law compelling every farmer to cultivate hemp, not merely suggesting it, but mandating it. Picture settlers clearing land along the James River, planting meticulous rows of towering cannabis plants, understanding their fibers would become rope, sail canvas, and fabric. For over 150 years in colonial Virginia, hemp functioned as legal tender. You could settle your taxes with it. Consider that. A plant so valuable that the government accepted it as currency. George Washington extensively cultivated hemp at his Mount Vernon estate, and his personal diaries contain over 90 references to the crop. Envision Washington strolling through his fields along the Potomac River, inspecting the tall stalks, noting in his journal the separation of male from female plants, overseeing the drying of fibers for rope, and observing the quality of various seed varieties. Thomas Jefferson also grew hemp at his Monticello plantation outside Charlottesville, Virginia. His farm journal details yields of up to 150 pounds per day. He declared that hemp was an absolute necessity to the wealth and protection of the country. Jefferson even innovated a superior hemp processing machine, convinced the crop would surpass tobacco in economic importance. The USS Constitution, famously known as Old Ironsides, required 60 tons of hemp for its rigging. Picture sailors ascending masts secured by sturdy hemp ropes, and canvas sails billowing in the Atlantic winds. The very term canvas originates from the Arabic word for hemp. Every ship that navigated the western seas before 1850 depended on hemp cordage. This was the cornerstone of early American industry, not an exotic import, not a suspicious weed, but a patriotic crop that forged a nation. Now let us examine what contemporary science reveals about this ancient seed. Researchers at universities across North America and Europe have meticulously analyzed hemp seed protein using advanced equipment. Their findings corroborate millennia of traditional knowledge. Hemp seeds contain a complete array of 9 essential amino acids: histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine. Your body cannot synthesize these compounds. You must obtain them through your diet, and hemp provides every single one. The protein content is remarkable. According to the United States Department of Agriculture nutritional databases, hemp seeds contain 31.6 grams of protein per 100 grams, while chicken breast contains 31 grams per 100 grams.
Imagine a kitchen scale. Place hemp seeds on one side, chicken breast on the other. The hemp triumphs. Digestibility is also crucial. Quantity alone doesn't define quality. Studies published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry measured hemp protein digestibility at over 88%, a figure comparable to animal protein. The two primary proteins in hemp, edestin and albumin, are among the most easily absorbed plant proteins known to science. Researchers have uncovered an even more astonishing fact. When hemp proteins break down during digestion, they release bioactive peptides. These minuscule protein fragments exhibit antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and even anti-hypertensive properties. Laboratory studies published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences demonstrated that hemp-derived peptides reduced inflammation markers in human immune cells. Other studies indicated that hemp peptides inhibited the proliferation of colon cancer cells in test tubes. Hemp seeds also possess an ideal omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio of 3:1. Nutritionists deem this optimal for mitigating inflammation and supporting cardiovascular health. The seeds also supply magnesium, zinc, iron, and phosphorus. They contain 660% more iron than chicken breast. Imagine a single tablespoon of hemp seeds. In that small serving, you receive complete protein, essential fats, and vital minerals that modern diets routinely lack. All this from a plant that requires no factory farming, no antibiotics, and no slaughterhouses. This is what they made illegal. The year is 1935. Picture the offices of Popular Mechanics magazine in New York City. Editors are preparing an article proclaiming hemp the new billion-dollar crop. They describe novel processing machinery that makes hemp fiber more cost-effective to produce than ever before. Hemp paper, hemp plastic, hemp fuel. The future appears promising. Now, imagine the boardroom of DuPont Corporation in Wilmington, Delaware. Executives are reviewing patents. Nylon, synthetic rubber, plastics derived from petroleum and coal. These products represent the company's future. But there's an obstacle. Hemp, naturally, cheaply, and renewably, accomplishes everything these synthetics do. 100 miles away, in Washington, D.C., a man named Harry Anslinger heads the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. He is married into the Mellon family. Andrew Mellon, the Secretary of the Treasury, is also DuPont Corporation's primary financial backer. In 1936, DuPont files patents for nylon fiber. That same year, the Treasury Department secretly begins drafting legislation called the Marijuana Tax Act. Note the spelling. Marijuana, not hemp, not cannabis. They selected a Spanish slang term, unfamiliar to most Americans. When the American Medical Association testified before Congress, their representative admitted they hadn't realized marijuana and cannabis were the same plant until the hearings had already commenced. Picture the congressional hearing room in April 1937. Harry Anslinger presents his Gore Files, newspaper clippings from William Randolph Hearst publications detailing murders and madness purportedly caused by marijuana. Anslinger testifies that marijuana makes fiends of boys in 30 days. William Randolph Hearst owned vast timber holdings, and hemp paper threatened his investment in wood pulp. His newspapers had for years propagated sensationalized stories depicting marijuana smokers as violent criminals, always with racial undertones, targeting Mexican immigrants and African-American jazz musicians. The campaign was designed to instill terror in white, middle-class Americans. On October 1, 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act came into effect. 1 day later,
Denver police arrested Moses Baca for possession. He received an 18-month sentence. Days later, Samuel Caldwell was arrested for dealing. He was sentenced to 4 years in Leavenworth Penitentiary. The DuPont Annual Report for 1937 contains a remarkable passage. It speaks of the revenue-raising power of government being converted into an instrument for forcing acceptance of sudden new ideas of industrial and social reorganization. That same year, DuPont patented nylon. That same year, hemp became illegal.
They explicitly stated it. For the next 3 decades, the machinery of prohibition expanded. The Boggs Act of 1951 introduced mandatory minimum sentences. The Controlled Substances Act of 1970 classified all cannabis, including industrial hemp, as Schedule I, the same category as heroin. The federal definition of marijuana encompassed every part of the cannabis plant, regardless of THC content. Picture a Kentucky farmer in 1975. His grandfather legally grew hemp. His father grew hemp during the war. Now his son could face prison for cultivating the very same crop that built the family farm. The knowledge faded. Textbooks stopped mentioning hemp. Universities ceased teaching its cultivation. Within 1 generation, Americans forgot that hemp and marijuana were legally and biologically distinct plants. Synthetic fibers supplanted natural hemp. Plastic replaced hemp-based materials. Pharmaceutical pills superseded plant remedies. The petroleum economy thrived, while hemp fields were transformed into parking lots and shopping malls. The government maintained records it would later attempt to destroy. 1942. Imagine a projection room somewhere in rural Kentucky. Farmers sit watching a black and white film produced by the United States Department of Agriculture. A narrator speaks in the formal tone of wartime propaganda. For the sailor, no less than the hangman, hemp was indispensable. The documentary Hemp for Victory highlighted a critical situation. With Japan's control over the Philippines, America's supply of Manila hemp was severed, creating a severe shortage of rope for the Navy. This sudden crisis transformed a plant, previously outlawed in 1937, into a vital national asset. Imagine cultivators across Kentucky and Wisconsin viewing this instructional film. The United States Department of Agriculture provided guidance on cultivating, harvesting, and processing hemp fibers. The government supplied seeds and technical aid. By 1942, in response to the government's plea, patriotic farmers dedicated 36,000 acres to hemp cultivation, an increase of several thousand%. The ambitious target for 1943 was 50,000 acres for seed hemp production. By 1945, American agriculturalists had cultivated 400,000 acres of hemp, significantly contributing to the war effort. The very government that incarcerated Samuel Caldwell in 1937 for selling hemp was now imploring farmers to cultivate it in 1942. However, a remarkable turn of events unfolded post-war. Hemp for Victory vanished. The U.S. Department of Agriculture disavowed the film's existence. The Library of Congress informed researchers that no such production had ever been commissioned by any U.S. government entity. Fast forward to 1989, and envision activist Jack Herer clutching VHS tapes. He and his fellow researchers had invested years meticulously sifting through archives and interviewing elderly farmers. They ultimately unearthed copies of the film, which they subsequently donated to the Library of Congress. Only then did the government reluctantly acknowledge what was already common knowledge in Kentucky. They had indeed produced a propaganda film urging farmers to cultivate the very plant they had previously criminalized, only to later pretend it never occurred. If hemp posed such a threat in 1937, why was it indispensable for the government to secure victory in World War II? And if it was crucial for triumph, why was it recriminalized in 1945? The inherent danger never pertained to public well-being. Rather, it threatened corporate profitability.
The prohibition persisted for 77 years, from 1937 until 2014. In that pivotal year, the Farm Bill finally authorized hemp research, marking the first time in generations. Picture academics across American universities legally engaging in hemp studies for the first time in their professional lives. In 2018, the Farm Bill was further amended. Hemp was entirely removed from the Controlled Substances Act and reclassified as an agricultural commodity. Farmers could now legally cultivate it with state permits, and consumers could purchase hemp seeds at grocery stores. The 77-year ban had concluded. Today, hemp is experiencing a global resurgence. The worldwide hemp market was valued at over $5 billion in 2023, with projections indicating it will surpass $17 billion by 2030. Imagine vast hemp fields spanning Colorado, Kentucky, and Oregon. Picture processing facilities transforming fibers into construction materials and laboratories extracting protein for dietary supplements. Hemp absorbs twice the carbon dioxide per hectare compared to forests, requires no pesticides, and enriches soil nitrogen. Envision farmers employing regenerative agricultural practices, integrating hemp into their crop rotations, and rehabilitating land compromised by decades of industrial farming. The complete protein that sustained ancient civilizations is making a comeback. This isn't due to a change of heart by corporations, but because consumers began to raise questions, researchers published compelling evidence, and individuals like you ceased to accept the propaganda. For 77 years, you were led to believe this plant was hazardous. The very government that criminalized it in 1937 later implored farmers to cultivate it in 1942, only to subsequently deny the existence of the film promoting it. The same corporations that lobbied for its prohibition now peddle synthetic alternatives for everything it could have naturally provided. Hemp was the foundational protein for civilizations. It built the vessels that traversed oceans, clothed the soldiers who triumphed in wars, and nourished populations when other crops faltered. Yet for 77 years, you risked imprisonment for planting it. Not because it was dangerous, but because it represented competition. Consider your kitchen pantry. Those hemp seeds, now legally available on store shelves, contain more protein than the chicken in your refrigerator, along with every essential amino acid your body needs, anti-inflammatory compounds, and essential fats, all derived from a seed your great-grandparents might have legally cultivated before 1937. The corporations that profited from its prohibition continue to market synthetics, processed foods, pharmaceutical drugs, plastic packaging. They depend on your never discovering what they replaced. The crucial question is, do you still believe them? If this video has provided a new perspective, subscribe to Secrets Beneath Nature and activate notifications. Every like and share helps dismantle conventional narratives. Share in the comments what hidden histories you wish for us to explore next. Our next video will be released shortly.